It's hot when you walk outside. What's going on? So I pulled my title today from the song I just sang for you. And I have a fun story to tell about how that song came about, and I'll get into that in a minute. But first, I thought I would ruin this wonderful energy in the room with a bad joke. How's that sound? Yeah, well, it's a church joke anyway. So there are these two 8-year-old boys living on the same block. And one of the boys' families does not go to church, the other does. So one day the church family invites, their son's buddy, the 8-year-old buddy, you want to come to church with us? And so the mom says, sure, you can go ahead. So this boy goes to church with his friend, he comes back home afterwards, and he's in the kitchen, and his mom says, so what was church like? He said, well, it was fun, nice people, and the only one thing kind of I didn't really understand, about halfway through the service, they sang this hymn, and I thought the lyrics were kind of weird. The words were, it was something about this bear, like a bear in the woods, this bear, and he was cross-eyed, and his name was Gladly. Yeah, they were singing Gladly the Cross-Eyed Bear. Anybody get that one?
Okay.
So anyway, it's a bad joke. Don't tell it to anybody. Okay. So as Deidre mentioned, I kind of came out of a background of early in my life working in architecture. It really wasn't a fit for me, and I began to see that more and more. And I also, around in my late 20s, stumbled into a Unity church, and it just felt like home. And there was a music program there. It was a large church in Houston. And I got involved with this group of people putting on musical performances. And it was so much fun and really enlivening. And we put together one production and took it on the road. And this is while I was still working my 40 hours a week in my cubicle on the 4th floor of a building. But I was able to get time off for this 10-day trip we did. We went and performed up at a Unity in Denver. We were living in Houston, Denver, and then up into Wyoming to the Grand Tetons, and put on our production for a big conference, the International New Thought Alliance Conference. And during that week in the Tetons, my heart was just blown open every day. Like, look what I get to do, and inspiration from here, and just every day, I swear you would find me on my knees crying somewhere because I was just so zapped by God. So amazing 10-day trip. And it's time to come home and get back in my cubicle, right? And here I am thinking, how am I going to fit all this joy back into this very weird, strange, restricted life that doesn't feel like me? And on the day I arrived home, that song came. I don't know if you caught all the words. It's easy to be on the mountaintop. And then the song is telling me it's easy to be in the world. The same God is here. It's not just out in those peak experiences. I think if you're in this room, you've had some sort of spiritual opening, some sort of peak experience, that vision. And then sometimes life is not glorious, is it? If there's no dark, there's no light. If there's no lows, there's no highs. And that's, as I was chatting with Micah earlier, welcome to being human. This is life. But the call is to remember that same God is here. It may not be evident. The same God is here, and don't be fooled. We're always living in God's presence. What I'm going to do is kind of a journey through a few of the ways that the truth has come to me through songs. And all these great reminders. Sometimes, I remember early in my life, I felt like, as I started to write this music, I got the sense that my mission is to write jingles for God. That's what I was put here to do, write jingles for God, little truths, little snippets of truth that get stuck in your head and support me, support you during your day. Like just a song would come like, oh yeah, okay. Get back on track in our spiritual minds. So another song that does that for me is a song I wrote called Take Your Power Back. And you've probably heard me sing it here before. And I love how this song opens. And again, it's calling that essence of you back to awareness. So the opening line, I know you remember. I know you remember. There are times in your life when you've walked in a gentle state of grace. And that is our power, isn't it? Connecting back to that grace, that presence of God in us, that's our power. Come home to the Christ self, like the be still meditation. Be still and know the I am. It's always about coming back. I know you remember there are times in your life. And the lyric goes on to talk about it's beyond your problems or your beliefs. Those are just structures we put together in our minds. God is behind all of that. Don't get lost in your structures, your beliefs, all the things happening. There's something so much bigger, the presence of God. The same God is here that you remember in those states of grace. I think snorkeling is a great metaphor for this. Has anyone ever snorkeled, or where you're swimming, you go under? There's a little truth I learned in that, and it's a great metaphor because, the surface of the water, it might be smooth, it might be choppy, but no matter what it is, you go down 4 or 6 feet, it's just still. So, in our lives, we might get distracted, might be tempted to get lost in the choppy. If we just go in, go deeper, it's still there. Be still and know. Duck down, take a dive, dip in. Course in Miracles talks about, the presence of God is always here. Course in Miracles has a great line that our journey, our spiritual path is about removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. It's not like love went anywhere. God's presence didn't go anywhere. We just may have some blocks to keep us from seeing it. Removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. The same God is here. Don't be fooled by what might look like chaos in your life. Come back, come back, come back. The same God is here. When I was something I've noticed about my songwriting, and this occurred to me, I was just standing at a concert about 10 years ago, and I just had this aha moment that I'm not really writing songs, I'm actually reactivating portals. So let me tell you what I'm talking about. When I go, I've found this practice of just sitting in silence and listening to see if I hear anything. And then something seems to come from beyond and has this kind of amazing vibration from beyond and a message for me, and then if I share it, then it's for others. And so each of these songs has its own kind of unique energy, its own vibration, its own message, its own source. So, and music is vibration. So when I do that, repeat that vibration in your presence, it's like I'm inviting you to that same portal that I opened. You're experiencing the vibration I experienced. I think that's amazing. So in a way, it's fun to share these different messages that have come through song, because it's again from the source beyond, with universal truth for all of us. One night I was walking in this very quiet part of the big island of Hawaii, which, by the way, send them blessings. I think they're getting a hurricane right now, a big one, first one in years. But I was at a retreat center where it was right near the coast. You could walk down the retreat center road, and there's this quiet coast road, almost zero traffic, and then the ocean just beyond. You can sit on cliffs over the ocean, not like here, there's big cliffs in this part of Hawaii. So my practice is to go sit and listen for music. And I've done it so many times at so many retreats at that location that when I'm walking down at night, like at the whole retreat is done for the day, and then I feel like I'm moonlighting, I'm going to work after my main job. So my other job is to go and see if a song will come, because that's what I do now. And I remember having the feeling, I'm walking with my guitar, but it felt like it's my briefcase. I'm walking to work with my briefcase, and here I go to see what gets created. So this particular night, there was no moon out, it was very dark. And when you get to the coast road and take a left, there's this big tunnel of trees. So in the daytime, it's just beautiful and gorgeous, walking like 100 yards, like a football field long. and get through the tunnel of trees and out to the opening again and more view of the ocean. But this was dark at night, and I decided to have a little game I was going to play with God and do a trust walk. So I said, I'm going to close my eyes and walk through this dark tunnel of trees and just trust that it's all going to work out okay. So my little trust walk. So I close my eyes and start walking, and immediately my mind goes crazy, like, all the fear thoughts come, like, wolves are going to bite my ankles, or snakes will come get me, and there's no snakes or wolves in Hawaii, or I'll fall in the ditch, but I just, stayed steady, and got to where I could feel like, okay, I'm at the end, opened my eyes, and suddenly the stars were brighter than ever. And I had gotten through with this kind of, let's just trust God on my journey. And I sat down, and a song came about trusting God. And I just want to say a few of the words with you. I know your loving is always with me. So here's that presence of God again. The same God is here. So I know your loving is always with me in even the darkest night. I know your loving is always with me, awaking my holy sight. I know your loving is always with me, embracing me when I'm afraid. I know your loving is always with me. You're keeping the promise you made. You're keeping the promise you made. It's an unspoken promise. God is always here. Some people talk about having a personal relationship with God. I think it's just about having a conversation. Have a talk with God. I'm sure you do. On a different island in Italy, I had this song come, and this is an I Am focused song called I Am the Wind. And I just had this workshop experience that really opened me, and I felt like there's energy happening, and I went and found space by myself with my guitar, and these words started coming. I am the wind. I am the sun. I am the water. I am the earth resting beneath you. Just that presence of God and everything around us, existing everywhere. I am the wind. And that song even goes on to talk about, wrapping its arms around me. Come lay your head on me. That presence, that source. Imagine God wrapping God's arms around you right now. Can you feel that? You're always wrapped in the presence of God. The same God is here, whether we forget or not. Another song came on that island in Italy, and there's the one I opened with today. Love has always been here for you. Again, God's presence, the same God is here. Love has always been here for you. Feel those arms that wrap around you. Everyone who's ever known you brings a gift that blesses you for life. I know sometimes, the people we meet, maybe it doesn't feel like a gift. Welcome to your personal growth. That's the gift. Yeah. Something I love, there's a lyric in that song you might not have caught. I wrote that sitting in this chapel from the year 250 AD. Just a little simple chapel. Looking out the door on this island, there was a small stone windmill about 100 feet away. And as I was halfway through the song, I saw the windmill, and this lyric came. And it's really about God's presence, whether we see it or not. So the words go, like the wind that moves the windmill, you may never see what lifts you still into the heavens. So we don't necessarily see it, but we know it's happening. I'll go over a couple of songs. I want to share one called Golden Lotus Blossom. This one I wrote back in Hawaii, sitting on the coast in the daytime, and I just got out my guitar. I started to feel this kind of jungle rhythm, and this little 4-line poem came out. And the image is that there's this flower, maybe this represents you or me, kind of floating far from shore, feeling lost at sea. And the words go, like a golden lotus blossom, so like I'm like a golden lotus blossom in the middle of the ocean. My faith in you is awesome, and I feel such deep devotion. Like even when we feel lost, can we tap into that devotion, that connection to God? And then another part of the song that interweaves is God singing, "Feel my love. Feel my love." And it dawned on me as I was writing it that even though the flyer might feel lost, it's not sinking, it's being held up. Feel my love. Feel my love. We're being held up. We're not sinking. I'll close with looking at the song that we did during the meditation, "Be still and know I am God." These words came to me in a little spiritual book called The Impersonal Life. The Impersonal Life. It was written in, I think, 1941, a great little spiritual handbook that I stumbled upon in the late 70s. And about halfway through this little book, it suggests a meditation. And the idea is that you will close your eyes on your in-breath, you'll think the words, "Be still and know." On the out-breath, "I am God." Be still and know, I am God. And for me, it's about activating the awareness of the I am presence in us, in our consciousness and our awareness. Just go into the stillness and know the I am. Know God in the stillness. Be still and know, I am God. And I was doing that practice and getting some really peaceful benefits from it. And at this point in my life, I was not working in the cubicle. I kind of left that for a while, and I had this temporary job. And this is a lot of drudgery, this job. I'll just briefly tell you, it was like a day job, temp job for one day at Intel. And my job was to test microchips, the Intel chips. And so these little microprocessor chips, and they were this big back then, now they're like so puny, and I just stick it in, and if it's red, you get a red light, it's a bad chip, throw in that basket. If it doesn't have a red light, it's good. So I'm doing this for 8 hours for low pay, and I thought, well, as long as I'm doing this, why not breathe, be still and know, exhale, I am God, be still, and so do a meditation during this drudgery. About 15 minutes into it, I started to hear music. Be still and know I am. And that's how the song was born. Just checking chips at Intel. You never know how music's going to come. And so it became a fun song to sing and share. And actually the next year, before I was really performing at all, I managed to get over to Europe and just be by myself for about 2.5 months with a bag over my shoulder and sing several countries. I was up in Scotland, hitchhiking around. I'm 27, and I remembered, there's a spiritual community up in northern Scotland called Findhorn. Let's see if I can find that place. And this is a community where people of all different spiritual paths just decide to live together in community. Whether you follow this path or that, doesn't matter, just on a spiritual path. And I got dropped off at the door by hitchhiking, and I thought I'd just drop in for a day. Ended up being 4 weeks, and had all these wonderful experiences. And the last few days I was there, they had a talent show, and so I borrowed a guitar. And in this big giant hall with 100 people, in wonderful echoey resonance, I borrowed a guitar and I played Be Still and Know I Am God and invited people to sing. It was the first time I'd ever done that, and it was glorious. It was like, what? It's like this huge choir, like what's that Mormon choir? The Tabernacle Choir was singing my song, Be Still, and we went up, came down to silence, and then it's like, I was in tears, again in tears. And I feel like that was an initiation, like God was saying, this is good, this is the way to go, mind-blowing. And I think that was the carrot on that, and a few other experiences, the carrot on the stick. This is the direction to go. You can leave your cubicle and move into sharing the presence of God, awakening it in others. I think that's all of our missions. We experience it, that presence, and then we convey it. We're aware of it, and we convey it to bless everyone we meet. Remembering that same God is here. Even though it may look like chaos, that peak experience, the same God is here. And don't be fooled. Thank you.